We all have a desire for a better future, a future with purpose and meaning. What this statement means is that what we are currently experiencing in our life is not giving us the full sense of gratification and joy we anticipated. Why are most people not happy with their current state of being? Why are they not happy with their present self? This is mainly due to how they view themselves and how they think people perceive them. So in an effort to reach their version of happiness, they betray their future self to gratify their present self. Unfortunately, this has proven time and time again to not work and in fact delay true rewarding happiness. Most people begin looking for external gratification in the hopes of feeling whole and complete. They believe that if they buy that car, or if they own that home, or if I have that relationship with that person, that they will fill that lack in their life. What we fail to realize is that pursuing that future expectation of joy or fulfillment in that manner is the opposite way of creating a future with purpose and joy and meaning. One of the most important things we can do to sincerely have a future with purpose and a happy new meaning is what was discussed in part in our last video. We need to discover the real reason we are not happy with ourselves now. We need to learn which aspects of our childhood and early years of life are playing a major decision or role for us now. We need to be real with ourselves and dig deep and be all in, committed to finding the answers if we are really ready to change our future. The term inner child refers to an individual's childlike aspect. Your inner child is an unconscious part of who you are. Like everyone else, you were once a child, and that piece of you lives inside of you. Your inner child is a psychological reality that should be taken seriously. When dealing with an unhealthy childhood, you may have learned to internalize negativity, and after repeatedly being mistreated, you might think you deserve to be treated poorly. In that way, your inner child can become wounded. You might not have gotten over the pain of that event, even if you think you did. Some symptoms of a blockage from childhood needing to be released may be that you fear abandonment, or that you often worry that the people in your life are going to leave you eventually for some reason, and you feel like you're unworthy of love. When this is the case, you might unconsciously push people away because nothing anyone does can convince you that they are true and committed. You'd rather be alone than be abandoned. This common fear of abandonment is arguably one of the most damaging fears of all. Our behaviors and actions in current relationships are the result of old fears and learned concepts that took place in our childhood. You might have inappropriate guilt if your parents blamed you a lot as a child. When adults make children feel responsible for things outside of their control, this can leave you with feelings of unnecessary guilt, even in adulthood. When you've done something wrong, it's normal to feel guilt. However, when your perceived sense of guilt doesn't fit your current circumstances, this can be a sign of a blockage of your inner child. This feeling most likely means you were made to feel frequent guilt in your childhood, and you never healed from it. Another childhood block we might need to release is trust issues. If you were constantly lied to, cheated on, or manipulated in your childhood, this could have caused you to have trust issues. Because of this, you are always wary of other people's intentions. To avoid experiencing the same kind of anxiety and heartache all over again, you developed trust issues as a defense mechanism. But the truth is, not everyone is going to mistreat you. And if you hold on to this belief that everyone will hurt you, it prevents you from getting close to people who do truly love you. Such issues often stem from a wounded inner child who learned early on that people can't be trusted. Another childhood fear you might need to let go is a fear of setting boundaries. In other words, how much of yourself you are willing to give to other people. Boundaries are the rules we create in our own minds to help us figure out how much we'll let other people get away with in our lives. Perhaps you're a people pleaser, unable to say no when someone asks you for a favor. You could be afraid to hurt their feelings or lose their friendship. Maybe you're just not good at speaking your mind. This is another blockage caused by a wounded inner child. Perhaps you get angry easily. As you may know, anger is a universal emotion that everyone feels at one point or another. In some cases, anger can be healthy to feel and express. But when a person regularly loses their temper and struggles to manage it properly, it usually signifies an underlying issue. Being overly angry can be the same as your inner child having a tantrum. It can mean that you're holding on to a time when your needs weren't met, or your circumstances were unfair and frustrating. Perhaps you have trouble letting things go. We often bury our trauma, and bring them with us from our childhood into adulthood, whether we want to or not. A strong sign of this will be if we continue to think about arguments long after they're over, or if we constantly relive and mentally go over bad things that happened, even though you know you'd be happier if you just moved on. By looking at our past trauma, we can determine if we have blockages from our childhood that are affecting our adulthood. This helps us understand our behaviors and gets us to the root of the underlying blockages we may have that are stopping us from moving forward in our lives to a better future. There are many processes and methods along with guided meditations that are very beneficial and helpful. One way to let go of those emotions that are blocking and holding us back is to set time apart each day to have a dialogue with your inner child. This will assist in acknowledging and addressing past wounds. A sincere conversation will reveal what we have been fostering and will help rediscover the joy and emotional freedom we once had growing up. After having this deep dialogue with ourselves, we can benefit from enhancing our self-awareness. By recognizing the things that caused us pain in childhood and understanding their impact on us today, we become more attuned naturally to our emotional triggers and patterns of behavior. We begin to develop a deeper understanding of how our past experiences have shaped our present reactions, enabling us to make conscious choices rather than being driven solely by unconscious emotional reactions. We will be knowingly addressing and releasing repressed emotions that have accumulated over time, and therefore making room for new, healthier emotions to begin forming. As we do this, we start to appreciate the small pleasures in life, finding delight in simple experiences and activities that may have been overshadowed by the many responsibilities of adulthood. Practicing this mental activity daily will help us appreciate ourselves more, and we learn to extend loving kindness and understanding to the inner parts of ourselves that have endured pain or neglect. We become more forgiving of our past mistakes and embrace self-care as an essential aspect of our well-being, engaging in self-reflection or spending time participating in more outdoor activities. This becomes more important to us as we prioritize our own emotional needs and treat ourselves with more compassion. We will also see progress in our creativity and playfulness, engaging in creative activities such as singing, writing, crafting, drawing, painting, and dancing. We will begin to witness the healing of our inner child blockages, and as we do, we produce greater emotional resilience, and we notice how easily we can now confront past wounds quicker and with less effort, wiping away emotional pain and developing healthier mental thoughts when faced with sudden challenges. We will be equipped better to handle stress and feel stronger to want to achieve more out of life. This is how we begin to build a happier and more meaningful future, allowing ourselves to understand who we are deep inside and appreciating all that is around us. Please see our next video on how to find inner peace with ourselves and outer peace with others, here on Aligned Thought.